that the assessment, okay, or the feasibility study will not be costing $20,000, okay? I don't want any assumptions here, okay, when we go before this council. As, you know, I think they have stated they expect, you know, the presence of Roselle to come to them and appropriately present our proposal. And if we're going to do so, we better go in there with full awareness of what we're talking about here. We're not asking them to share this grant for $20,000. They need to know $20,000 for what? How much of a cost?
Councilwoman, you bring up a good point. And actually, I called the state of New Jersey today just to check on that part of it. And what they said to me is that if first of all, we're required to do an RFP. We must do an RFP. And if the grant is larger than $20,000, because they're pushing us to do it, the state is trying to give us money and make us do it, they would give us more money to get it done. But then again, on the other hand, if it were, say, I don't know, one of the firemen says say it was $100,000, we're not forced to do it because the RFP process is a part of the process of getting this grant done. So we're not if we say it costs $200,000, then we just don't do it.
I'm just saying, Mayor, that we're going before a body of elected officials who already are well informed that they have just received large dollars in grant money from the county, okay, to renovate their fire stations as well as a bond. Okay, they're going to want to know details, okay, specifically as to what cost to the Linden citizens any proposed study might cost. I know that we can send out for RFPs, but certainly we can do research beforehand to get an idea of what we might be talking about so they know whether we should even bother to go forward. They may decide right then and there, if it's $100,000, you know, and they're supposed to split the cost, they don't want any part of it. Okay? And I don't want this council to find out that we said, no problem, we'll absorb the cost, and we find out in the newspaper the next day.
No, what we're just saying is that, and I think council stated clearly, is that we're drafting a resolution that allows us to begin to negotiate those things you were just talking about with the city of Linden, and that it's not binding until we go over there and they agree to what we're doing.
Is that what you're, excuse me, council, is that what you're saying? That it is not binding unless Linden agrees?
Of course. I mean, and that's clearly stated in the resolution in two places. One, I put in here clearly that, you know, that our relationship with the city of Linden, our submission of the grant is subject to their approval.
Okay.
Clearly.
And it also says that the borough is acknowledging and accepting the responsibility of acting as the applicant for this grant on behalf of Linden.
Right.
Okay?
Should we agree? Should they agree to it? It's subject to their approval. I mean, I also put in the borough intends to be the lead agency. You know, again, I just tweaked the resolution they had.
And subject to the governing body here in Roselle. Where's that?
No, we're doing that tonight.
Well, okay. I'm talking about this is a grant. I'm talking about the feasibility study and the cost of that's going to be greater than $20,000. We're going to have to put out much larger dollars. This is saying no matter what, if we both agree, we're going out there and whatever the cost, we're going to pay for it?
No. It's only saying, we're only talking about the grant now. We're not talking about the study. We're only talking about the grant at this point. That's the only thing we're discussing is applying for the grant. We haven't even gotten to the point of the study.
Okay.
We are specifically applying for the grant.
Yes.
Now, once we get the grant and we start looking at people to do the feasibility study, they will have to submit
RFP. They have to
respond to
an RFP.
Okay.
And then I'm sorry, go ahead.
Once they submit their RFPs, if it's over $20,000, we have the right to say no if we have not gotten any other funds.
Definitely.
Okay.
We're not forced to contract with them.
Okay, and I just want you to know, I want to go on the record as saying, when I first looked at the initial resolution or regarding getting a grant for the fire department, in reading, I was under the impression that it would be to determine the efficiency of our fire department. And actually a light bulb went off and said, oh, at this point they'll come in and see we need more firemen.
They could.
When you, but see, if you hadn't said
I know, what else,
That
Mom?
one little statement
Mhm.
regarding community center, he threw it out the window for me. So, that's why we're having this extensive conversation here. I have no problems receiving grants. I have no problems receiving, someone coming in and looking at our fire department to determine how efficient they are, because I know that they're efficient. You know, I know that when I go in, the only thing I see is that we need more firemen. And I'm hoping that the experts, as Ms. Reynolds said, will come out and determine that we need additional firefighters. But I will not support anything that says that it's going to eliminate our fire department in any way.
And in fact, it's still, you know, what I say is that the other study that we did, no one was, you know, a couple of people said they were against it, and we have to go back and study it some more. And actually, that study only cost us $10,000, and that was a full study of our sewer system.
If I may,
Yes,
I would just ask that the council just give me the opportunity as the fire commissioner to just go into discussions with the mayor. I'll take him up on his offer to go over to the city of Linden to meet with the city officials there and their council people and fire commissioner, so we could get a lot of the, you know, questions that we need answered before we enter into an agreement or pass a resolution on our end, before we're binded in any way to apply for this grant. So I would just ask that if you just can give me that courtesy, and maybe we can bring this back and discuss it, at a later time. So I would ask at this point if we can just entertain a motion to table this resolution.
I just have